They created the richest league on the planet. They turned football into a global spectacle. And even so, some people are turning off the TV before the final whistle. The most intense league in the world is becoming boring. Because the problem isn't a lack of goals, it's not a lack of stars, and it's definitely not a lack of money. It's something much deeper, and it started quietly. In January 2026, the league had a match week with only 16 goals. There was a period in the calendar, divided between before and after the new year, in which there were 40 matches and 20 of them ended in a draw. 7 of them ended 0-0. No team managed to build a consistent winning streak. During that stretch, only 6 points separated 4th place from 12th. Balance? Yes. But excitement? Not always. And this is where the contradiction begins. It's how those goals are happening. Because at the same time, the season's average has been around 2.74 goals per match, a number aligned with the league's historical average. So this is not an offensive collapse. Then why does the game feel flat? Because the problem isn't the number of goals, it's how those goals are happening. Today, only 54.1% of goals come from open play in structured attacking moves. The proportion of set-piece goals has risen to 26.2%, the highest since the 2009-10 season. Almost 28% of recent goals involve a set-piece, and about 19% come directly from corners. A historic record, and this isn't an isolated detail. Impeccable organization, training routines repeated with surgical precision, maximum efficiency. But efficiency is not the same thing as magic, and that's where the change began. For decades, English football was structured chaos. Physical collisions, aerial battles, brutal transitions, but there was always space for the unexpected. Today, the system dominates. According to Opta data, the Premier League records more than 800 passes per match this season, one of the highest averages in history. 34.7 attempts per game, the lowest since 2018-19, and only 46% are successful. Crosses have also collapsed, from 42 per match in 2003-04 to around 24 today. The question becomes inevitable. When was the last time you saw a winger receive the ball and simply take on his defender consistently and effectively? But there may be an even more curious sign of this change. If you look at the top passers in the Premier League in 2014 and 2015, you'll notice something interesting. The list was dominated by creative minds. Cesc Fabregas, Yaya Toure, Eden Hazard, players who controlled the game in midfield and attack. Now compare that to the list from the 2024-25 season. Virgil van Dijk, Joško Guardiola, Ruben Dias, almost entirely defenders. It may seem like a small detail, but it reveals something important. The most creative players are spending less and less time on the ball. The game is happening further back, safer, more control. But this still isn't the core of the issue. The core is predictability. Today, clubs follow extremely similar tactical models. Compact mid-blocks, coordinated pressing, short build-up with the goalkeeper involved. Goalkeepers, by the way, symbolize the shift. In 2015-16, they averaged 26.1 passes per match. Now it's 32.2. The share of long passes dropped from 78.4% to 46.7%. Accuracy increased by almost 19%. The result? More control, less chaotic transition, and chaos used to be part of the entertainment. In the 2000s, a big game could turn around in 5 minutes. Today, when a team goes 1-0 up, the behavior changes instantly. After scoring, the tendency is to reduce risk. Slow the tempo, control possession. That's not fear, it's probability. Statistical models show that reducing volatility after taking the lead increases the chances of winning. So the leading team slows the game down, and the spectator feels it. Because fans pay for the explosive moment, not for the probability chart. There's another silent factor. Modern football has become obsessed with probability. A shot from outside the box? Low percentage, better recycle possession. A risky dribble? High chance of losing the ball, better pass backwards. A nutmeg? Provocation. Sometimes it even leads to a booking. The system rewards the safe choice. It punishes the unpredictable. And slowly, the game becomes lukewarm. Then came the architects of the system, Pep Guardiola, Jürgen Klopp. They raised the tactical level of the league. Coordinated pressing, structured build-up, millimetric positioning. They won. And when you win, everyone copies. The problem? When everyone copies, everything starts to look the same. In the past, every club had a clear identity. One played direct football, another focused on passing, another lived off counterattacks. Today, mid-block, zone-based pressing, fullbacks moving inside, wingers drifting centrally. The shirts change, the blueprint stays the same. And when two teams using the same manual face each other, it becomes chess. Smart, but predictable. Meanwhile, smaller clubs have evolved too. Teams like Brentford or Wolverhampton are no longer naive. They have analysts, detailed video analysis, low blocks drilled to exhaustion. Space between the lines? Almost zero. Result? Fewer games with 4 or 5 goals. Matches where one team scores 4 or more goals now occur at the third lowest rate in the 31 seasons of the Premier League era. Blowout wins are now the exceptions. This season also has one of the highest rates of matches decided by a margin of 1 goal or less since 2015-16. Winning streaks are harder to build. The last 2 seasons are among the worst of the past decade in terms of teams winning one game and then winning the next. More balance, more control, more calculation. And then there's the physical factor. In the 1960s, a player ran 4 or 5 kilometers per match. Today, the average exceeds 11 or 12 kilometers. Some reach almost 14. Receive the ball, 2 opponents are already closing you down. The cost of losing possession is high. One failed dribble might mean a 40-meter defensive sprint, so the player chooses the safer option. Not because he's cowardly, but because the system punishes mistakes more than it rewards brilliance. Harry never called the game robotic. He said it's become a disease. Liverpool manager Arne Slot made a similar comment. He said that 10 or 15 years ago, watching a big match felt like an event, a joy. Today, according to him, many Premier League games no longer create that same feeling. And maybe the problem goes even deeper. The league is stronger than ever. According to Opta rankings, 14 of the 30 strongest clubs in the world are in the Premier League. In other words, the average quality has increased. And when average quality rises, space disappears. Low blocks are no longer filled with technically limited players. They're fast, strong, and extremely organized. The result? Long periods of balance, with teams neutralizing each other. So is the Premier League boring, or is it simply too efficient? Because this is the final contradiction. Technically, it might be the strongest league in history. Physically, the most intense. Tactically, the most sophisticated. But emotionally, maybe it has become too calculated. Football has always moved in cycles. The 1990s, direct transitions. The 2000s, intensity and counterattacks. The 2010s, possession and coordinated pressing. Now we are living in the era of risk minimization. Maybe the next revolutionary will be someone willing to lose the ball, someone willing to accept mistakes, someone willing to embrace chaos, because chaos, in the end, has always been the fuel of the Premier League. So the question isn't whether it has become boring. The real question is this: are we witnessing the peak of efficiency, or the beginning of a creative saturation in English football? Comment below. I want to hear your opinion.